It said that the Torah has 70 different faces. The way I understand this is that we interpret Torah differently depending upon our personality and growth pattern, so that the Torah needs 70 different faces so that we, wherever we are in our life, can understand it. Let me give you an example. Noah is the Torah reading for this week, and Noah is first described by the Torah as an Ish Tzaddik, a righteous man. A tzaddik is a term that is reserved for very few people in Torah. Noah must be very privileged to deserve that appellation. And then the Torah goes on to say he was perfect in his own time, perfect in his generations. So not only was Noah a tzaddik, but he was perfect in his time, even greater than a tzaddik. A second reading takes a significantly different course, this one given by Rashi. Rashi says that indeed Noah was a tzaddik, but he was a tzaddik in his time, and only in his time. Had he lived in any other era, Noah wouldn't have been such a perfect individual. Had Noah, say, lived in the time of Abraham, he wouldn't have been such a tzaddik because Abraham's star was so much more bright than Noah's. So the question that's given over to us is, who are we? How do we see through the lens of our own vision Noah? And ultimately, when we know who Noah was in his own time, we have a better understanding of who we are, because the way we see Torah is ultimately a reflection upon us. So, if we see Noah as being an individual who was a perfect tzaddik in his own time, is this what we strive to become? Perfect in our time. Not really weighed down by the constraints that we see all about us. Not distracted by all the things that dance on the periphery of our eyesight. But do we march to our own godly drum instead of the beat of somebody else's? That's the first reading of the text. The second one is, do we find ourselves leaden, weighed down, encumbered by the things that revolve around us in this world? Do we find ourselves constantly at war and fighting with our Yetzer Hara, our dark, insidious side? Which one of the two is us? Which Noah are we? When we better understand where we come from, we have a better understanding of where we're going. It is absolutely and utterly key to know where we are now. And when we look around us and we've taken a real assessment of who we are, we can better become what God wants us to become, meeting our future. With our eyes outstretched looking toward the edge of the horizon, not down at our own feet, but outward and beyond. Wishing you a beautiful Shabbat, a Shabbat of love and harmony, but perhaps even more important, a Shabbat of stretching the outward boundaries of self to always become, to strive for more.